Hi everyone. I'm Laya, 27 female. I've never posted here before, but after everything that's happened recently, I just need to get this off my chest. I'm overwhelmed, confused, and honestly a little heartbroken. This is about my former best friend, Tessa, 28, female, and how things went from bad to worse after I got engaged to my fiancé, Ethan, 29, male. Tessa and I had been best friends since high school. We met during our sophomore year and clicked instantly. Over the years, we were practically inseparable. She was the kind of friend who could make a joke out of anything, and I genuinely loved her like a sister. We went through college breakups, career struggles, and family drama together. I always believed she would be my maid of honor one day, and I was sure I'd be hers. But everything changed when I got engaged to Ethan last fall. Ethan and I have been together for 3 years. He's kind, grounded, emotionally intelligent, and my rock in every sense of the word. He has dark hair, hazel's eyes, and he works as a physical therapist. The moment I introduced him to Tessa, I sensed something shift, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. She was friendly enough, but it felt a little too forced, like she was wearing a mask. At first, I chalked it up to her being surprised. I thought maybe it was hard for her to accept that our lives were heading in different directions. While I was settling down, she was in an on-again, off-again relationship with Marcus, 32 male, a freelance photographer. He had just moved out of their shared apartments around the same time I got engaged. I figured her emotional state might be raw, so I made an extra effort to include her in everything. Wedding dress shopping, engagement party planning, even just casual brunches with my family and Ethan. But as the weeks passed, her behavior became increasingly weird. She started making these passive-aggressive comments, things like, "Wow, Ela, you're really domestic now," or, "I hope Ethan doesn't get bored once the wedding excitement fades." I laughed it off at first, even told Ethan that she was just being herself. But inside, I was starting to get uncomfortable. Then came the rumors. She began planting subtle seeds of doubt. A mutual friend mentioned that Tessa had made comments about Ethan being too smooth, or probably the kind of guy who has a backup girlfriend. I thought it was just gossip until it escalated in the worst possible way. My mother, Claire, 52, female, called me one night sounding upset. She told me she was disturbed by what Tessa had told her. According to her, Ethan had gotten flirty with Tessa at a recent housewarming party and had even tried to kiss her. My mom was worried and hurt on my behalf, and I was absolutely stunned. I confronted Ethan, who was just as shocked as I was. He told me he barely spoke to Tessa that night, and certainly didn't do anything inappropriate. I wanted to believe him, but my heart was in knots. This wasn't just hearsay. This was a direct accusation from someone I'd trusted with everything. We ended up checking security footage from the party, since it was hosted by one of Ethan's coworkers, who has cameras around his house. And there it was. Ethan didn't speak to Tessa once, not even a glance. He was with me or talking to friends the entire time. My stomach turned as I realized what this meant. Tessa had lied. Boldly, intentionally, maliciously lied to my mother to make her think my fiancé was a cheater. I felt sick. I called Tessa and confronted her about it. She dodged and deflected at first, then claimed maybe she misread the situation. But I knew what she did. She tried to destroy my relationship by poisoning my family against Ethan. I blocked her number that same day and told my mom the truth. My mom was horrified and apologized profusely for ever believing it. That was 2 months ago. I haven't spoken to Tessa since. But last week, things took an even darker turn. Ethan came to me visibly shaken and told me he had received 2 photos from an unknown number. They were of Tessa in lingerie posing suggestively. The message with it said something like, "You sure you're making the right choice?" We knew it was her immediately. Ethan didn't even respond. He blocked the number and showed me everything right away. I cried for an hour. I just couldn't believe it had come to this. Not only did she lie and try to turn my family against Ethan, but now she was actively trying to seduce him. Sabotage our relationship. What was her NDG game? Did she think he'd throw everything away and suddenly go running into her arms? Or did she just want to ruin things for me because she couldn't stand like seeing me happy? And yet, despite everything, a part of me still feels heartbroken. She was my best friend. She was at my side during the hardest and happiest times of my life. There's a drawer in my room filled with handwritten notes and silly Polaroids of us over the years. When I see them now, I feel physically ill. It's like mourning someone who is still alive. I know she was always the type who needed to be the center of attention. People admired her looks, her charisma, and her confidence. But I never thought that when things didn't revolve around her, she would turn into someone so vindictive. Some mutual friends think I was too harsh. They say she's just acting out because Marcus left her and that she's lost right now. Maybe she is, but does being lost justify trying to ruin someone else's life? I keep thinking about all the times she picked me up after breakups, all the times we promised we'd be at each other's weddings, and how sure I was that we'd be old ladies still sassofaning on the porch someday. Now I can't even hear her name without feeling anger and disgust. I haven't told many people about the photos, just my mom and one close friend. It feels too shameful to even speak aloud. I keep going back and forth between being furious and feeling deep sadness. I don't miss the version of her that exists now, but I miss the version I thought I knew. I guess I just needed to vent. I'm getting married in 4 months and trying to focus on what really matters. Building a life with someone who respects and loves me. Ethan has been amazing through all of this, reassuring me that he's not going anywhere, and that I did the right thing cutting her out, but it still hurts and it's a pain I wasn't prepared for. Thanks for reading comments 1. This is incredibly painful and I feel for you. You did what you had to do to protect your relationship and your peace, and I respect that completely. But I do wonder if there's a deeper reason Tessa unraveled like this. Jealousy, insecurity, mental health issues, or unresolved feelings. It doesn't excuse her behavior, not at all. But maybe down the line, when you've had space and healing, there could be a conversation. Even if the friendship doesn't resume, closure can be powerful, but only if you want that. No pressure, just a thought. Update 1. Hi again. I wasn't planning on posting another update, especially not this soon, but something happened that has completely thrown me off. I still feel sick and shaken, and honestly, I'm not even sure what to do anymore. I haven't been able to sleep properly since, and I can't even think straight. I feel like I'm being stalked by someone who used to be my best friend. 2 days ago, one of my wedding vendors called me, specifically the hair and makeup stylist I'd booked for the bridal party. They're a small local business run by a lovely team, and I've been really excited to work with them. Everything had been set, contracts signed, deposit paid, and times confirmed. It was one of the few parts of this whole wedding process that had gone smoothly until now. The stylist called and asked if I had recently changed my phone number. I said no, and she immediately told me something wasn't right. Apparently, someone had called them earlier that morning, claiming to be me. This me said she needed to cancel her wedding day services and requested her deposit back. She was pushy and evasive when asked basic verification questions. When the stylist mentioned that she would need to speak directly via my confirmed phone number or email to process any cancellations, the caller got defensive and hung up. The only reason the stylist didn't process anything was because she trusted me and thought it was strange that I would contact her from a completely different number, without even an email to back it up. She called me directly after the weird phone call to confirm. That's when the panic set in. It was Tessa, it had to be. No one else would even know who my bridal hair and makeup vendor is. I had only mentioned it to a handful of people. The fact that she even had the business's contact info means she must have either been digging around asking people or still has access to someone I trusted. My hands were shaking when I got off the phone. I couldn't believe it. She pretended to be me. She tried to impersonate me to cancel a critical wedding service. If the stylist hadn't been so sharp, I could have lost my deposit and my booking. Months of planning and preparation gone because of one malicious phone call. I sat in silence for a while after that call, just stunned. Then the rage hit. She wasn't just trying to hurt my feelings anymore. She was actively trying to sabotage my actual wedding day. I called Ethan immediately, and he was just as horrified. He held me while I cried, and I could tell he was trying not to let his own anger show too much, because he didn't want to make me feel worse. But I could see it in his face. He was furious. I can't wrap my head around it. Why would anyone go this far? What kind of person tries to sabotage someone else's wedding out of jealousy or spite? I feel like I'm living in some kind of twisted movie, where the villain used to be my best friend. I keep asking myself, how did we get here? How did someone I used to call my sister become the person who sends my fiancé inappropriate photos and then tries to impersonate me over the phone? And what's worse is, I have no idea what else she's capable of. That's what's truly eating at me right now. I thought cutting her off would be enough. I thought after I blocked her number, removed her from my wedding plans, and made it crystal clear she was no longer part of my life, she would get the message. But clearly, this is beyond a grudge or a falling out. This is a full-on obsession or vendetta. I've spent the last few days going back through all my vendor contracts, reaching out to each one personally to reconfirm our arrangements. I've asked them all to password protect any changes going forward. I never thought I'd have to do that for my wedding, that I'd need to add security protocols because of someone I once trusted with every detail of my life. I also reached out to a lawyer friend of Ethan's to ask what our options are if she tries something like this again. Right now, it's technically not a crime, just a failed impersonation attempt. But we're keeping a record of everything in case this escalates further. I'm still debating whether to contact her directly one last time just to tell her to stop, or that I'm prepared to pursue legal action if she keeps harassing us. But honestly, I don't even know if engaging her would help. I'm afraid it would just fuel her more. The betrayal is hard to describe. I keep remembering sleepovers, vacations, the way she used to cheer me on when I was down, the way we cried together over past heartbreaks, and now she's trying to destroy the happiest time of my life. It feels like a death, except the person is still walking around with my secrets, my memories, and my name in her mouth. Part of me still grieves for the friend I thought she was, but the rest of me, I'm just angry now. I feel like something in me snapped after that phone call with the stylist. I'm no longer making space for hope or sadness when it comes to her. I'm just done. I'm locking things down now. No more mutual friends who also talk to her. No more public wedding details. I even made a private group chat for my bridal party and family, just to make sure she doesn't somehow sneak information through someone's innocent social media post. I hate that it's come to this, but I can't afford to be naive anymore. This wedding is supposed to be a celebration of love and commitment, not a battleground for someone else's bitterness and insecurity. I'm grateful for the stylist and her instincts. I'm grateful for Ethan's support, and I'm trying to focus on the fact that this wedding is still happening no matter what Tessa does. But I won't lie, my nerves are fried. I'm scared of what's next. Thanks for reading again. I don't know when I'll post again, but I'm hoping that next time I'll have something happy to share. Maybe photos from the big day. Maybe a story about how it all turned out okay in the end. But for now, I'm just trying to breathe. Update 2. Hey again. I wasn't planning to post another update unless something major happened. But surprise, something major happened again. My wedding is officially 4 weeks away. I should be finalizing flower arrangements and seating charts. I should be worrying about whether the bridesmaid dresses will arrive on time, or if the DJ will actually play the right version of our first dance song. I should be excited. Instead, I've spent the last week watching my ex-best friend try to rewrite the narrative of our falling out. If you've read my previous posts, you'll know that Tessa has gone completely off the rails. First, she lied to my mother about Ethan hitting on her, which was proven false. Then, she sent him inappropriate photos after I cut her off. That wasn't enough. She also recently impersonated me over the phone to try and cancel my wedding hair and makeup vendor. Thankfully, the vendor caught on and called me before anything could be processed. I thought that would be the last of it. I thought after she failed to blow up one of the vendors, she'd finally back off. But apparently when sabotage doesn't work, slander is the next best thing. Over the past few days, I've been getting odd messages. Few acquaintances I hadn't spoken to in a while. A couple from mutuals who used to be part of our friend group, but who faded into the background since the engagement. The tone was always the same. Slightly awkward, slightly curious, and way too familiar for comfort. Stuff like, hey, just checking in. Heard things are a little messy right now. Hope you're okay. Or Tessa said she hopes you're doing all right. Didn't realize things were still tense between you two. It didn't take long before one of them finally spilled what was really being said. Tessa is telling people that I'm going through something and pushing away people who care. She's claiming I was pressured into my engagement, that I'm too naive to see the red flags in Ethan, and that I've changed since I got the ring. According to her, Ethan isolated me, and that's why I turned against her. She's not even denying that we're no longer friends. She's just trying to rewrite the why. She's turning herself into the caring, concerned former best friend who tried to warn me and got shut out for it. And the worst part, she's doing it subtly. No long rants or dramatic Instagram stories. Just a comment here, a tearful remark there. Just enough to make people question if I've really been honest about what happened. I didn't want to get into the details with people. I had tried to handle things quietly, mostly because I didn't want to bring more drama into the wedding planning. I didn't want to drag Ethan through more mess than he already had to endure. I didn't want to turn my engagement into a battleground for old friendships. So, aside from a few close friends and family, I hadn't told anyone what Tessa had actually done. I hadn't told them about the lies, the fake cancellation call, or the lingerie photo she sent to my fiancé. And now she's using that silence to twist the story in her favor. I don't think it's a coincidence that all this is happening now. From what I've heard through the grapevine, Marcus, her now ex, broke things off with her for good. Apparently, he blocked her completely and is done playing whatever game she was trying to keep him hooked into. That's when this new behavior started. The timing is too perfect to ignore. I think in some twisted way, she sees my wedding as a reminder that I'm winning while she's losing. She doesn't want to be the one left behind. And if she can't actually stop the wedding, then she'll try to make it look like I'm not happy. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, like I'm making a mistake I'll regret. She wants to feel like things are even. But the truth is, they're not even. They never were. I didn't destroy someone's relationship. I didn't try to blow up someone's wedding. I didn't try to seduce someone's partner or lie to their mother. I didn't weaponize vulnerability and call it friendship. I just moved on. I chose peace. And apparently, that was the most threatening thing I could have done. What really guts me, though, is how effective her manipulation still is. Some of the people she's been talking to are now doubting me. Not because they believe her fully, but because the version of events she's selling sounds so much softer than what really happened. It sounds like two friends who had a falling out. A bride-to-be is getting weird before the wedding. A guy who maybe gave off weird vibes but was probably harmless. That's the version people are more comfortable believing because the real version, the one where someone completely loses control and starts sabotaging someone else's life, sounds crazy unless you've seen it with your own eyes. I've had to make the painful decision to distance myself even further from mutual friends. People, I thought, would at least ask me what happened before making assumptions. It hurts, but it's clarifying too. I can't build a life with people who are willing to believe whispers from someone they know is unstable just because it's easier than confronting the truth. Ethan has been my rock through this. He keeps telling me that the only thing that matters is us, our love, our future, and the family we're building together. And he's right. But I won't pretend it's easy to focus on joy right now. I've made a decision. If anyone else comes to me with concerns that clearly originated from Tessa, I'm done being polite. I'll tell them the truth. Not to be vindictive, but because I'm done letting her control the story. She can cry to whoever she wants. She can spin her lies, but she doesn't get to rewrite my life. I've also added a few more layers of security to the wedding. Vendors are on high alert. Our coordinator has been briefed on the situation, including what Tessa looks like, and no one gets in without being on a pre-approved list. I never thought I'd have to treat my wedding like a security operation, but here we are. At this point, I don't know what her endgame is. Maybe she just wants to ruin my peace. Maybe she wants attention. Maybe she genuinely believes she's right, but it doesn't matter anymore. She doesn't get to live rent-free in my head, not anymore. I'm still getting married. I'm still building a future with a man who has stood beside me through all of this with more patience and loyalty than I thought possible. And I still have people who love me, support me, and know who I really am. The next time I post, I hope it's because I'm coming back with wedding photos and happiness in my heart. Until then, I'm keeping my head up and my boundaries higher. Thanks again to everyone who's been supportive in the comments and messages. Your encouragement means more than you know. Update 3. Hi everyone, it's me. I finally have a happy update to share. I got married. I'm officially a wife. The wedding happened and it was beautiful and joyful, and exactly what I needed after the chaos of the past few months. I've never smiled so much in one day. I've never cried such happy tears. I married the man I love, surrounded by the people who truly support us, and I feel lighter than I have in a long time. That said, I'm not going to pretend the day came without drama. This wouldn't be my story if there weren't some final ripple from Tessa before we crossed the finish line. But let me start with the good. The wedding itself was everything I dreamed of. The weather was perfect. The ceremony was heartfelt and emotional, and every single detail from the flowers to the music, everything fell into place. Our vendors were phenomenal and extra careful about security. Thanks again to everyone who recommended I tighten things up. My bridal party was warm, loving, protective, and just there for me in every way. I've never felt so supported. Walking down the aisle and seeing Ethan looking at me like I was the only person in the world made everything worth it. Every ounce of stress, every moment of second guessing, every tear shed over what Tessa tried to do, it all melted away the second we locked eyes. I could see his love, his pride, and his peace in that moment. I felt safe. I felt chosen. As for the people who had started to believe Tessa's side of things, some of them showed their true colors leading up to the wedding. I tried explaining the truth to a few of them calmly, honestly, without bitterness. I told them what Tessa had done, how far she went to sabotage my relationship, how she impersonated me to cancel my vendor, how she sent inappropriate photos to Ethan, and tried to paint me as naive or manipulated. Some were stunned, some apologized, but others just couldn't or wouldn't let go of the narrative she spun. Whether it was easier for them to believe that I was the one who changed, or they were just uncomfortable picking sides, I'll never know. What I do know is that people who can't stand beside you when you're honest, especially when you've been hurt, don't deserve front row seats to your happiness. So, I made some hard choices. A few of those people were uninvited. Others pulled away from themselves, likely embarrassed or unsure of where they stood. I didn't chase them. I didn't beg for their approval. I simply protected my peace. The guest list may have gotten shorter, but the energy in the room on the day of the wedding, it was pure. It was safe. It was real. Now, Tessa, she didn't show up to the wedding, which is honestly the most mature thing she's done throughout this entire ordeal. I have no doubt that the only reason she stayed away was because she knew I wouldn't hesitate to involve the police this time. We had the venue on alert. Our coordinator had photos of her, and even a friend at the event was prepared to make that call if necessary. She knew we were ready. Still, she couldn't help from make one final play for attention. The night before the wedding, Ethan got another message from an unknown number. It was more photos. Clearly her again. Clearly desperate. Clearly meant to shake us. We didn't respond. He blocked the number immediately and handed the phone to me. It was pathetic, honestly. The desperation in it made me feel less angry than before. Just sad, but not for me. She also posted some cryptic things online. You know the type. Vague quotes about betrayal. Passive-aggressive captions like "some people choose lies over loyalty," and funny how people forget who was really there for them. I didn't engage. Neither did Ethan. Neither did any of our real friends. And I think that's what frustrates her most. Our silence, our joy. The fact that no matter what she threw at us, it didn't stop the wedding, it didn't stop the love, and it didn't stop the life we're building together. Her chapter in my life has closed tightly, finally, and permanently. I know now that nothing I could say would change the minds of people who wanted to believe her. And I'm done trying. I'm no longer carrying the burden of defending myself to people who were willing to turn a blind eye to her manipulation. If they still choose to believe her lies, that's on them, not me. For now, I'm focusing on the present. My honeymoon is in a few days. We're heading somewhere peaceful, sunny, and far away from all this noise. No phones, no social media, no lingering toxicity, just me, Ethan, and the new chapter of our life. When we come back, we will be taking further legal steps. Ethan has saved everything. Texts, photos, the vendor call logs, even screenshots of her cryptic posts. At the very least, we're going to consult with an attorney about a formal cease and desist and explore whether a restraining order is appropriate. Not because we want revenge, but because we want boundaries that are enforceable. But that can wait. Right now, I want to soak in what I do have. A partner who never once wavered, friends and family who stood by us, and the knowledge that I didn't let the actions of a bitter, unstable person define one of the most important days of my life. To those of you who followed this journey and supported me through it all, thank you. You reminded me that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't overreacting, and that my peace was worth protecting. Your comments and messages help me stay grounded in some of the most emotionally draining moments. I'm signing off for now. I don't know if I'll be back with another update. Maybe one day I'll come back to share how the legal situation unfolds. But for now, I'm choosing joy. Update 4. Hi everyone, it's me again, and this will officially be my final update. I'm writing this now with a clearer head, a stronger heart, and honestly, a sense of finality I didn't think I'd ever feel when it came to Tessa. For the first time in months, I feel like I'm not just reacting anymore. I'm done being hurt, confused, or tangled in old guilt. I'm standing on solid ground, and I've taken steps to make sure I stay there. So, here's what happened post-wedding. After we got back from our honeymoon, which was amazing, peaceful, and the exact reset I needed, Ethan and I followed through with legal steps, just as we'd planned. With the help of a local attorney who generously offered guidance through a legal aid clinic, we had a formal cease and desist letter drafted and sent to Tessa. It explicitly outlined everything: her prior contact attempts, the harassment, the impersonation of media vendors, and the inappropriate messages and photos she sent to Ethan. It demanded that she cease all communication, directly or indirectly, with both of us, and warned that any further attempts to contact, defame, or interfere with our lives would result in immediate legal escalation. The letter also made it clear that we were prepared to pursue a restraining order if necessary. We've received confirmation that the letter was delivered and signed for. So far, there's been total silence. No more late-night texts from random numbers. No cryptic posts targeting us, or at least not ones that name us directly. No one has reached out with concerns fueled by Tessa's manipulation since then. I honestly think she finally got the message, or at least realized that the law isn't going to let her keep playing games. But that's not all. There's one last thing I haven't mentioned before, mostly because I hadn't thought of it seriously until after everything settled down post-wedding. It's something I wrestled with a bit, but ultimately I believe it was the right thing to do. Tessa was living in an apartment owned by my aunt. It's in a decent part of town and rented to her at a much lower price than the average market rate. My aunt, who's always been generous and liked helping out younger tenants, especially those referred by family, had given Tessa the deal years ago through me. Back when I still trusted her, back when I never imagined she'd turn out to be this person. My aunt didn't know what had happened between us. She had no clue about the lies, the harassment, or the wedding sabotage. I never brought it up because I didn't want to involve more family. But after everything, and especially after the legal process, it felt disingenuous to keep letting Tessa benefit from a kindness rooted in a relationship she exploited and then tried to destroy. So, I told my aunt everything. I didn't ask her to evict Tessa, and I didn't demand anything. I simply shared the truth fully and honestly, with the same clarity I've used to explain this to others. My aunt was shocked. She had no idea. And after hearing it all, she made the decision herself. Tessa's rental agreement is not being renewed. She was given 30 days' notice, which is more than fair considering her lease was already on a month-to-month basis. The rent discount is gone. The privilege is gone. I never would have thought to go there before. For so long, I tried to be the bigger person, to shield others from the drama, to stay quiet for the sake of peace, to let go and move on without causing further waves. But the truth is, some people need to feel the ripple effects of their behavior. Not because you want revenge, but because they'll never change if they never face any real consequences. Tessa walked through my life like a wrecking ball and still thought she was the victim. For months, she was able to whisper lies, smear my fiancé, try to derail my wedding, and twist the narrative while still getting away with little things like rent breaks and social sympathy. And I think a part of me needed to know that finally something hit back. She's not entitled to cheap rent when she tried to dismantle my life. She's not entitled to the perks of my family's generosity when she used our trust to wage a personal vendetta. I don't feel guilty. Not anymore. I feel done. This whole experience has taught me a lot about trust, about boundaries, about how far you're allowed to go to protect your peace. I kept trying to draw lines without building walls. But now I know there are times when you need both. So yes, she's out of our lives legally, practically, and emotionally. And if she tries anything else, we won't hesitate to go further. For those of you who've been here since the first post, thank you. Truly, your support helped me stay grounded when I was second-guessing myself. Your kindness reminded me that not all friendships fall apart without reason. Some just expose what was never really mutual in the first place. I'm married to the love of my life. I've built a circle of people who see me for who I am, not who someone else claims I am. And I've learned to stop watering dead plants. No more updates after this. Just peace and love. Thanks again. Comments 1. Yes, this is exactly how you reclaim your life. I'm so glad you followed through with the legal boundaries and cut off the extra benefits she was enjoying because of your connection. That wasn't revenge. That was reality finally catching up. You didn't owe her silence or support. Actions have consequences, and she finally has to sit with hers. Congratulations again on your marriage.